greet our friends everywhere with Chapter 19 of Dr. Ida, the story of Ida Scudder. This is another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, and comes to you from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago.
Someone said life begins at 40, and then suddenly you're 50. The 40s are behind you. You don't feel middle-aged, but that's what you're called. And if you're anything at all like Ida Scudder, you don't want to slow down. You can't slow down. God has given you too many resources, and He expects you to use them.
Ida, there's a lady, an Indian lady from Bombay who wants to talk to you about Mary Tabor.
Whatever about, Mother?
About marriage between Mary and her son. It's the Indian custom, you know, for parents to make inquiries.
Marriage? Mary Tabor's still a child. We adopted her
quite some time ago.
I don't believe in child marriages.
Ida, we adopted Mary Tabor 16 years ago. Before any marriage arrangements could be made, if they are to be made, she will be 17 years old. Even in the United States, marriage at 17 is not unheard of. And this is India.
And next month I will be 50. And it's 15 years since Birchfield Milliken died. Where have I been, Mother? It doesn't seem possible that all this time has gone by.
You've been one of the most fortunate human beings on earth, my dear. So busy serving your Lord in a way you enjoy that you've simply never been bored.
Mary Tabor. Well, Mother, if she must be married in true Eastern fashion, then we, you and I, will be good Indian parents and provide Mary Tabor with the very best husband we can find and the finest wedding we can afford. There was custom and protocol to follow, of course. We had to meet the parents of the boy. We wrote to their minister in Bombay, asking for information about the family. They were good Christians who lived their faith responsibly. But the two people directly involved had yet to meet. Mary Tabor was like my own child, and I did not want the customs of the East to deny my child the dreams and joys of romance. Look at yourself in the mirror, Mary.
Oh, I love the dress.
You look stunning. I don't know quite what to say. You know that there's a boy downstairs to see you.
Yes.
He has come from Bombay, and he's here with his parents and some of his relatives. We've met them before, your grandmother and I, and we like him. He's strong and healthy and handsome.
I understand.
Oh, darling, you needn't marry him if you don't want to. We just want you to be happy. It seems so strange to us, betrothing you to somebody you've never seen.
But I'm going to see him. Today. You just said so.
Of course you are. How stupid of me. He'll like you. He can't help it. But promise me, dear, you'll tell me if you don't like him.
I promise.
It was so thoroughly Indian. The lad was kind and gentle, and Mary was so solemn, so unlike her usual laughing self. They both had to speak English, for Barnabas Charles Sebastian was from Bombay and did not speak Tamil. We exchanged gifts, his parents and we, and then our Indian minister announced the engagement and followed it with a sermon based on Genesis and the story of Isaac and Rebekah. And we sang hymns, and we prayed. Of course, that was only the engagement. The banns were published at church on the 3 following Sundays, and then there was the wedding. She seemed so young and so frightened at the altar, and I wondered if I had done the right thing. And then, at the reception, I saw Mary smile at Barnabas, and Barnabas smile at Mary, and I knew everything would be fine. I don't think I ever mentioned to you that we had many more children besides Mary Tabor. We didn't run an orphanage, strictly speaking. We just had the children, my mother and I, and the other missionaries near us who helped. There were 23 children in all, ranging in age from 6 months to 16 years. They came from the roadside. Many had been abandoned. One was an albino and rejected by his family. Some were children of patients who had died. I know they helped both my mother and I to stay young.
Look at them go.
Annie, let's stop for a minute and watch. Good form. Very good form.
I say, Granny, you want to play tennis?
Whom do they mean by Granny?
I think they mean you.
Well, I never. You really want me to?
Sure, if you like. Can you play tennis?
You're new in Vellore, aren't you?
I've been here a fortnight already.
Which of you is the better player?
I am.
Very well. Hand me a racket. I guess this will have to do.
Ladies first. You can have the serve.
Go to it, Ida.
I intend to, Annie Hancock. What fun! I guess I left the boys a bit chagrined. At least they'll never forget the grandmother who played a better game of tennis than they did. I found myself one day at the government house in Madras. It was a reception for the Viceroy, Lord Wellington, whom I had met once in Vellore, although very briefly, several months before. He remembered me and asked that I come to sit at his table.
Good to see you again, Dr. Scudder.
I'm pleased that you remember me, Your Excellency.
Well, I not only remember you, but I also remember that excellent work you're doing in Vellore.
What a lovely event this is.
Yes. It's nice to get away from the problems of governing for a bit. Not that they disappear, you know. This is merely a postponing of work and the making of decisions.
Are there unusual problems, Your Excellency? Or is that an improper question?
I assume you won't report a word of this to the press. Yes, there are problems. Tensions between the Hindus and the Muslims are building up. We're trying to avoid a nasty showdown between them. And then there's this Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. Ever heard of him?
Oh, yes.
Strange sort of chap.
Yes.
Goes about the countryside only wearing loincloth. Says he doesn't hate the British, but keeps talking about Indian nationalism. Charismatic character. A terrible speaker, but people listen to him. He's been in jail already, and we're watching him rather carefully. But tell me about your medical center.
I'm afraid that center still doesn't exist, except in my dreams.
Oh, really? I thought you'd begun a medical school.
Oh, we have, and our first class will be graduated next March.
Excellent. That's only a few weeks away.
Yes, but we need more buildings. Dormitories, classrooms, laboratories, and a bigger hospital.
And, of course, that all requires lots of money.
We've just learned of the strangest offer, however.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
The Rockefellers have promised us $1 million.
Well, now, the Rockefellers, I suspect they can easily afford that.
Providing the churches raise another $2 million.
And you're attempting to raise $3 million, then.
That's what it will take to build the kind of center we've planned.
These aren't the easiest times to raise money, you know. Post-war depression and all that. You must go back to the United States and describe the need yourself.
I am going back, on furlough, later this year. The Rockefellers have given us only until the end of this year to raise our $2 million.
I see. $2 million. Do you think you'll be able to raise at least $100,000?
We're planning on $2 million, Your Excellency. Many people are working at this already.
If you can raise only $100,000, I will commit His Majesty's government to 5 lakhs of rupees. That's approximately $100,000 too, isn't it?
You'll match our 100,000?
Absolutely. Our conditions will be half as stringent as those of the Rockefellers. You can do it, and it will be a fine beginning.
Plans for fundraising had to be set aside as the religious riots Lord Wellington had hoped would be avoided erupted with a violence which reached us in Vellore. All Westerners were instructed not to enter the Muslim quarter, which had been sealed off. But I had patients there, women who had to be visited, and I went.
Ida, you're not going.
Mother, I must.
Well, surely not like that.
What's wrong with a disguise? Wearing a burqa and a veil makes me look like any other Mohammedan woman. I'll get through, and I'll see my patients.
You'll be breaking the law.
I'll be breaking a higher law if I don't. I got through, and happily the hostilities were soon ended, and peace returned to our area, and none too soon. March 24th, 1922. How well I remember that day. It was commencement day for our first graduating class at the medical school. The first fruits of 4 long years of working and studying and planning. There were 14 graduates. There were 52 students of equal ability and commitment behind them. And each year we were now receiving 200 new applications for admission to our school. How we thanked God for helping us and bringing us to this glorious day. How we prayed that He would provide the seemingly impossible resources we now needed to continue this work which He had established and blessed.
Dr. Scudder, I'm from the Boston Globe. Do you have a statement?
I have a train to catch, young man.
Just a brief statement. You've come from India to raise $2 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, how do you expect to do this in a depression year?
I don't know.
Well, surely you must have a plan.
I have no plan except to tell what I know and have seen. I know that there are 165 million women and girls in India. 33 million of them are widows and are in tremendous need. Hundreds of thousands of these widows are mere children. I know that we have 159 Christian women doctors in India, which is far more than when I went to India at the turn of the century. But what are so few among so many? That's all of the statement I can make at this time. And young man, if you'll excuse me, I want to get on with my work.
And so we conclude Chapter 19 of Dr. Ida, the story of Ida Scudder. This has been another in the series, Stories of Great Christians, coming to you from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago.